Welcome back to Node Astrology. Today we have a birth chart reading for Cheryl for November 7th, 1980 in Berkeley, California at 12:30 a.m. At the time of birth, we have Leo rising, and the majority of the first house, which is our mask, our identity, our self-image that we project to others. Majority of that self-image is Virgo. So it's one of somebody who is of service, who is always looking for improvement, who is looking for things that are clean and pure, things that are of a divine nature. The second house begins in that same sign of Virgo. The second house is about our resources, our self-esteem, what we think is valuable, our ideas around material security and our possessions, our self-worth. And the majority of this is Libra. So especially with Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus here, there is a heavy reliance on the chart owner for relationships. And relationships about those Taurus sort of topics, food or drink or even sometimes the security of actual land. Jupiter always expands. He always makes something large. He makes a lot of things. Jupiter is associated with the sign of Sagittarius, so belief and philosophy. So there's a large amount of belief and philosophy about how those relationships are valuable to the chart owner. Saturn here is giving a feel of authority. So it's either expect when any chart owner has Saturn in whatever placement, they look for that authority, or they also could feel that they are the authority about that. Saturn is also a restriction, but here in the sign of Libra, Saturn is at home. He is exalted. He likes order. He likes discipline. He likes balance. He likes justice. So those are also things that are very valuable to the chart owner. Also, with Saturn in the second house, there is a definite element of time. Saturn takes a while to pay out. He is a long-term savings account that does not pay out before hardly anyone is 30. You really have to go into Saturn. You have to lean in hard. You have to focus on that. And in the second house, there's another level of time and patience and pushing forward. So I expect the chart owner has done that, because I actually have talked to them. But so there's a push and there's a time sensitivity here. But in the second house, Taurus is moving forward. Venus in Libra is a good placement. Libra is ruled by Venus. So having her here in the sign that she rules is definitely good for balance, good for order, good for good relationships, good for material security. Venus likes material security. Taurus is also ruled by the planet Venus. So there's a double dip going on here. It's a very strong position for Venus. All three of these planets are conjunct, but they're not all within 5 degrees of each other. There's much more communication between Jupiter and Saturn, and then Saturn and Venus, than between Venus and Jupiter, although there is luck involved. But with Saturn, there is a bit of a restriction here. There's a focus, and these beliefs and these feelings of material security or moving forward in a direct way, as Taurus does, and even Libra to an extent, is probably very focused on the types of relationships that the chart owner thinks is valuable, or the manner in which those topics are sought. The third house begins in Libra and contains Pluto and Lilith and Mercury, the moon, and the sun. Pluto and Lilith are both in the sign of Libra, as most people in the late 70s, early 80s are. Be categorized as a Generation X. Pluto is the planet of transformation, regeneration, power. There are also fears associated with Pluto. It is the co-ruler of Scorpio. And with Scorpio taking up most of the third house, communication, mindset, speaking, writing, learning, interactions with siblings, sometimes younger education, basic education is in this house. As with any sun sign Scorpio, the subjects of rebirth and deep experiences and trust, also personal finances or shared finances with others, are very serious topics for them. So with all of that in this third house, it's all definitely being communicated. But with Pluto in the sign of Libra, there are rebirth aspects in the mind of the chart owner about relationships and how those chain over to home and drive towards making a home. But on to Lilith. In mythology, Lilith was the first wife of Adam. She was created as an equal being. Adam wanting a partner that was subordinate to him did not sit well with Lilith, so she went off to do her own thing. Lilith is how we rebel, or things we plunge into, usually things that are either taken away from us in our childhood or things that we never had. So there are relationship styles or types that there are heavy fears associated with that the chart owner has. This could also be about fanaticism or balance in certain areas. But with that, they can be definitely good counselors. I hear that the chart owner is a good counselor. That's typically because of difficulties in those relationships, and Pluto rebirthing those relationships can teach people quite a lot, especially if they have the mind for it. And in the third house, the chart owner definitely does. Moving on to Mercury. This is a home spot for Mercury here in the third house, although in Scorpio and retrograde. So there is a definite focus for the chart owner to communicate about things that may not be able to be seen or may not be able to be seen by others, or having a sixth sense about how to communicate with various people, as Scorpios are known to do. We have another stellium here in Scorpio with Mercury, the moon, and the sun. And with that, there is considerable communication about emotions and the chart owner's identity as a communicator and as a Scorpio, as one who sees things that can't be seen, understands things that can't be seen, and moving forward in those communication ways to express that to other people. With the moon in the house of communication, there is a difficulty probably for the chart owner to separate what they think about and how they feel. So those two things are directly tied together, and the moods in Scorpio are about, rebirth, deep felt experiences, finances or shared finances with others, sex, rebirth. So all of those are all definitely in the mind, and the sun, the identity of a communicator and of a Scorpio. Moving on to the fourth house, Uranus here conjunct the IC, which is where we all want to be when we are at rest at night. Uranus in Scorpio is a powerful placement. You know, Scorpio is about those trust topics, and Uranus is trying to bring everybody together. It's innovation. It is also technology. Or if the home is erratic, there are ways and innovations to bring that about, to bring that back into balance so that the fourth house can nurture. Because that is private life and our roots and our family and our psychological foundation and some of our subconscious patterns. The fourth house is ruled by Cancer, and the fourth house here starts in Scorpio, which is another water sign. And then we have one of the co-rulers of Aquarius, a fixed air sign, in a water sign in the water house. Given also that Uranus is conjunct the IC, I've asked the chart owner, and they do actually sleep with at least one type of electronic device on, whether it's movies or music, but they do have electronic devices around them when they sleep. Continuing on in the fourth house, the majority of the fourth house is Sagittarius, with Mars in Sagittarius. So there is a drive for experiences to be had, or to put foreign things or belief structures in place in the home. Given that the fourth house starts in Scorpio, fixed water, and moves into mutable fire of Sagittarius, possibly home may not be an actual physical home. It could be people or certain experiences that they have associated with themselves. So Mars, the god of war, is in a fire sign, although Sagittarius being ruled by Jupiter, it's a very large sign. So there may be direction changing and shifting from one topic to another in order to gain that experience, to create a solid emotional foundation for the family or for the chart owner themselves. Neptune in Sagittarius. Neptune is the planet of ideals and imagination. It co-rules Pisces, so there is a divine element associated with Neptune. The chart owner most definitely has a belief that the divine can be reached through diving into those experiences and through a stable home, or one that is very innovative. Beginning in the sign of Sagittarius and then moving on to Capricorn is the fifth house, which is our creativity, our recreation, how we entertain ourselves, romance, children, play. This is essentially anything other than work. With Capricorn taking up the majority of the fifth house, but being intercepted, meaning no house starts or ends in Capricorn, and then reflected also on its opposite cardinal sign of Cancer, which I will get to. The chart owner may not know how to engage in those activities. In order to utilize, or in order to build a legacy, which is what Capricorn does, the chart owner has to go into Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn. So the valuable relationships in their life is what is going to open up that fifth house. So the relationships is who they share those experiences with. Vertex is a shift point, is a karma point for anyone, and Vertex being in Capricorn in the fifth house says that very intense shifts with the chart owner have been about those topics. Although there is information about intercepted houses and how to open them up, I'm not going to go much more into that. I actually might make a video later on, but not in this chart reading. On to the sixth house, which begins in Aquarius. Sixth house is our self-improvement, service, employment. Our work routines are day-to-day. The foundation of the sixth house is Virgo, so it's about service and service to ourselves, and sometimes anyone else. Starting here in Aquarius, there is a service to the collective, service to our friends, or service to anybody that's in our lives, but in an out-of-the-box kind of way, a non-linear thinking, an ability to shift between one thing and the next pretty quickly. With the ruler of Aquarius being in the 4th house in Scorpio, I'm expecting the service that chart owner picks is about things in the home, and they probably use technology to do such. The chart owner's south node is also in Aquarius in the 6th. I'm going to come back to that after I finish up and go into that whole topic of north and south node and evolution. The 7th house for chart owner begins in Aquarius. So there's a want for non-standard or, different sorts of relationships. But overall, what they're after is divine love. They're after other people who are serving humanity in Pisces. They're after things that bridge worlds, that bring things together. There's probably a bit of a fantasy mind about relationships and what they're supposed to be. The rulers of Pisces for the chart owner are in the 2nd house, Jupiter in Libra. So there's a large valuing of relationships. And then Neptune in Sagittarius in the 4th. So a feeling that the divine has kissed the relationship if it's in their home, or if they do come into their home, or especially if the relationship does have some sort of divine ring to it. On to the 8th house. 8th house is how we renew ourselves, how we transform, what we have deep experiences about, our depth of interaction with others, how we grow and change. For Cheryl, the starting in Pisces, there's a part of that is about fantasy. It is about bringing the worlds together. But the majority of that for her is being very direct, going after what she wants, working hard, playing hard. That's what Aries is about. It's the ram. He charges up the hill, and then he walks around and he eats grass, and as long as everything's cool, that's what he's going to do. But if there's another hill or something else that needs to be conquered, it will be done. So that's definitely the nature of the rebirth there. The planet ruling Aries is Mars, and Mars being in the 4th. So there's another callback to the home here for deep experiences. The 9th house, which is higher meaning, higher education, mind expansion, philosophy, religion, travel, journeys, starts in Aries. So there are very specific beliefs that the chart owner has about these types of things. And there is a continuation into Taurus here, very direct mind, very solid, very grounded sorts of thinking. But with Chiron here, there has been an injury at some point. Chiron in mythology is the wounded healer. He is unable to heal his own wound, but he can heal others. So through the chart owner's philosophies, through their grounded thoughts, and through their beliefs, they are able to heal others. With clashes about other belief structures or people who don't have very grounded belief structures, that's how the chart owner was able to solidify themselves and be so solid, and that's how they can shift directions and be that foundation for others. The 10th house begins in Taurus. 10th house is our authorities, our public life recognition, people who can be our guides, our achievement of the world, our careers. So essentially our fame, how people know us. So how we think, how we communicate, what we do is not always directly reflected in how people know us. But starting in Taurus, it is forward motion, constant forward motion, very grounded, very, very strong ideologies about themselves and that they are grounded. But with the majority of the house in Gemini, chart owner is known as a communicator. It's known as, the chart owner and somebody else, because Gemini is the twins. It's the sign of two things are one thing, a yin and yang, or a couple, two of things. It's the stars Castor and Pollux. Individually, they do exist, but they are talked about as two things. So I suspect that there are probably people or groups of people that associate the chart owner with someone else, whether it's the child or whether it's their coworker or their best friend. The 11th house is our group involvements and collective endeavors, friendships, humanitarian ideals, global awareness. This starts in Gemini. So again, we have a portion of communication about that, but the majority of the 11th house is Cancer. So it is about healing. It is about nurturing. And this is nurturing that is received by the chart owner and also transmitted. But again, there is no house that starts or ends in Cancer, although Cancer does take up the majority of the 11th house. The ruler of Cancer is the moon. The moon is in the chart owner's third house. So communicating about their feelings about global awareness or humanitarian ideals or their friends or the people that they care for is how to open up this house so that it can flow more into the rest of their life. And flowing into the 12th house, beginning in Leo, is service to humanity, self-transcendence, self-sacrifice, how we retreat and suppressed parts of ourselves. So the saying, the best way to serve the world is to have a happy, healthy you, it is very true for the chart owner here. So that inner spark, that inner sunshine that all of us, endeavor to have is the way for Cheryl to help humanity. Being a woman, being female, this is a very mother lion kind of feel. That's the way I think about, women that are Leos. It's they go out and they hunt. They bring back the kill for the group, for the collective. That's their charge. That's their mission. The North Node being here, the North Node of the Moon is considered the evolution of the soul, how we're supposed to go, where we're supposed to go to. In Vedic astrology, it is Rahu. He's the head of a dragon. He doesn't think, he doesn't digest, he just goes. He just does. He devours. The South Node, and it always holds up, it's our foundation for our evolution. So South Node being here in the 6th house, it is about service. It's about her daily life. It's about, the collective. And that's K2. It's the tail of the dragon. It just follows. So the daily life for the chart owner may be difficult, or it may have been very simple, or it actually may be very easy, or it could have been easy for them in a past life, or that's where they were before. That's where they may focus. And with the majority of the first house, or the subjective mask that the chart owner shows, the 6th house and the daily life may be very simple for chart owner, but the service to humanity may be difficult, or it could be the other way around. The mission for a North Node in Leo is acknowledgement of self, to represent the downtrodden, or to take care of them, to mother them. And the foundation of that is to take care of yourself, to take care of yourself in the daily as part of the collective. And that brings this chart reading to a close. Thank you again, Cheryl, for allowing me to put this up on my channel, and hope she and anyone else that listens to this understands a little bit more about astrology and possibly how we're all alike and how all of us are different. And thank you once again for coming to North Node Astrology. If you want to contact us, you can do so through YouTube or our Facebook page. I even have TikTok now. Thank you very much, and see you guys later.